The great hall is crowded with nobles and soldiers, their eyes fixed on the boy at its center. Kiska, a young boy, sits bound by ropes, treated like a criminal. The group's leader announces that Kiska will be sent to the infamous Katarov dungeon, a perilous place. The lad protests, claiming his innocence, but the leader ignores him and orders his removal. As soldiers drag him away, Kiska protests further, shouting that he is being falsely accused. His mind drifts to his past, born in Katarov village, known for the dangerous S-rank Katarov dungeon that attracts adventurers. The village is always bustling. Kiska is no adventurer, he's a farmer. He recalls the day his simple life turned miserable when his crops were destroyed. Darga, the village head's son, appears, claiming he heard about Kiska's poor harvest. Though he apologizes, he's inwardly furious, knowing Darga is the one responsible for the destruction. He remains silent, conditioned by years of enduring abuse. Kiska, an Alk with silver hair, belongs to a minority group hated for a betrayal during an ancient war. Despite being innocent, Alks like him suffer daily. Darga, angered by Kiska's apology, punches him in the face, yelling at him to accept it. Kiska remains silent, enduring the beatings without retaliation, having no option. Later, as he limps through the village streets, Namia, a kind girl and childhood friend, notices his injuries. She asks if Darga has bullied him again, and he softly replies her name. She invites him to sit with her and offers to tend to his wounds. Grateful, Kiska agrees, silently appreciating that she is the only one who treats him like a human. Once Namia finishes treating his wounds, she cheerfully tells him it's all done. Kiska thanks her sincerely. Curiously, she asks why the villagers treat him so cruelly. He responds sadly, explaining that his silver hair is the reason people find it disgusting. Namia smiles and remarks that she finds his hair cool and beautiful, which lifts his spirits slightly. Though Kiska still believes his hair brings only misfortune, her acceptance of him brings a small sense of peace. But then she stuns him with news of her engagement to Darga. His eyes widen briefly before he regains composure, offering quiet congratulations. Sensing his unease, she gently asks if he's truly all right, and if he intends to remain in the village forever. He silently nods. She becomes emotional, urging him not to remain, fearing he will be broken, both physically and mentally, by the constant abuse. He replies with pain in his voice that the village is all he's ever known. He has nowhere else to go. Then Namia takes his hand, looking into his eyes with determination. She suggests they elope. She's saved enough money to start a new life far away from the cruel village. Surprised, he asks if she's sure, and she nods without hesitation, revealing that she doesn't want to marry the boy who hurts others. With full emotion, Kiska confesses his love for her, and she smiles, saying she loves him too. Later that night, he prepares to leave, clutching his small bag. As he walks through the quiet streets, he thinks to himself that tonight he will finally be free, and his painful days in the village will be over. Kiska walks through the night with hope in his heart, dreaming of a new life with Namia, the only person who ever cared for him. But suddenly, a voice filled with fear and panic shouts, "Stop it!" His heart races as he recognizes the voice. He runs toward it, terrified something terrible is happening. When he arrives, he finds a horrifying scene. Darga and a group of boys surround Namia, trying to hurt her. Shocked and terrified, Kiska screams her name. Darga mocks him, calling him silver hair, but our boy ignores the insults and demands to know what they're doing. Darga grins maliciously and doesn't move out of the way. Overcome with anger and fear, Kiska punches Darga hard, demanding that they let Namia go. In response, Darga and the boys begin beating Kiska mercilessly. She screams, begging them to stop, but they don't listen. Darga mocks Kiska, questioning why he's there, claiming Namia is his fiancée. The boys grab Kiska, pin him to a wall, and one of them pulls out one of his fingernails. Our lad screams in agony, but Darga coldly orders him to take out the other one. Namia shouts for them to stop, vowing to reveal the truth if they do. Kiska begs her to stay silent, but before he can say more, Darga strikes him again, ordering him to shut up. As darkness closes in, Kiska silently pleads for her to keep their secret, but she begins to reveal it. Just before losing consciousness, he sees a shocking smile on her face as Darga grabs her by the neck. That smile is the last thing he sees. Sometime later, Kiska awakens in the leader's palace, his body aching and bruised. Disoriented, he hears angry voices echoing around him, accusing him of unspeakable crimes. They call him Sinner Kiska, claiming he exploited Namia's parents' absence to break into her home, committing inappropriate acts. Kiska is stunned, consumed by confusion and despair. In the courtroom, the village leader declares his sentence: banishment to Katarov dungeon. As the words sink in, Kiska's heart drops. Nemia is dead. She revealed their escape plan, and in his fury, Darga killed her. But instead of facing the consequences, Darga and his group fabricated lies, and now Kiska is blamed for everything. The leader asks if he has any last words, but Kiska remains silent. Despite his attempts to prove his innocence, no one believed him. 3 people testified against him, and even the village head stood against him. His words are meaningless, and he realizes there's no hope left. At the leader's command, soldiers cut Kiska's bindings. Darga scoffs, saying it's pointless. Kiska is as good as dead. Silently, Kiska agrees. No one returns from Katarov dungeon. The leader gives the final order. A soldier shoves Kiska into the teleportation portal, casting him into the depths of the dungeon. As his body begins to teleport, he seethes with rage, hating everyone in the village who has wronged him, especially Darga for killing Nemia. The moment he lands in the Katarov dungeon, the dark and dangerous S-rank dungeon, he is surrounded by deadly creatures. Suddenly, a roar echoes through the dungeon, and a monstrous rank A bugbear appears before him. Terrified, Kiska recognizes the creature from adventurer stories. No one who encounters it survives. In a panic, he turns to run, but the bugbear is too fast. It lunges at him, delivering a powerful punch that Kiska narrowly dodges. Frantically, he screams for help, his voice echoing through the empty dungeon, but he knows no one will come to his rescue. To his shock, a mysterious voice along with a shadow calmly asks if he wants help. Desperate and terrified, he screams for the mysterious voice to save him. Suddenly, a girl materializes and replies that she will grant him a special skill to help him survive. Suddenly, a glowing message appears before him like a game screen. You have received the skill, save and reset. Confused but intrigued, Kiska wonders how to use this new skill against the bugbear, but there's no time to think. Before he can process anything further, the bugbear strikes him with a heavy punch. The force hurls Kiska through the air, and as he crashes to the ground, everything fades. He muses that with one punch he died. Then suddenly, he jolts upright, gasping for air. Disoriented, he looks around. He's back in the dungeon, unhurt. His mind reels. He should be dead, but he's alive. Kiska is in shock. After taking a brutal hit from the monstrous bugbear, he was certain he'd died. But when he opens his eyes, he's stunned to find himself alive. Confused, he mutters, he should be dead. The memory of the blow is vivid, yet here he is. Before he can make sense of it, the bugbear strikes again. Pain explodes through him, and this time he's sure it's the end. But once more, he awakens, alive. Panic sets in as realization dawns. He's trapped in a loop. Each time he dies, time resets to just before the fatal moment. The truth hits him. This is the power of the skill save and reset, granted by that mysterious girl. It doesn't save him from death. It forces him to relive it, again and again. Terror grips him. He wonders if he's stuck in this endless cycle forever. No matter what he does, it's the same. If he runs, he dies. If he dodges, he dies. Even jumping doesn't help. The bugbear always catches him, and the result is always the same painful death, followed by waking up just before it happens again. The agony and fear become too much. Kiska finally breaks down, wishing for the end, wishing someone would stop this nightmare. Then he remembers something: the ability to turn off the save and reset skill. If he does that, he will die for real, and the endless loop will finally stop. Suddenly, a screen appears in front of him, displaying his current status and skills. Confusion and worry flood his mind as he wonders what he should do now. How can he turn off this terrible skill? As he touches the status bar, a rush of memories surges through him. Kiska recalls Darga killing Nemia and the villagers' betrayal. Rage and sorrow flood him, his mind torn. He wonders if disabling save and reset and dying for real might finally bring him peace. But then, with a tight fist and burning eyes, he refuses to let it all end like this. No, he decides. He will not let this be his fate. Without a clear plan, he charges at the bugbear, driven by instinct and sheer determination. At first, he dodges the monster's first strike, but then, almost immediately, the second hit lands and he dies again. But once more, he wakes up. He keeps trying over and over, unsure how many times he's died, maybe over 100 times. But each time he learns a little more. He studies the timing, the monster's movements, and its fighting style. The bugbear swings its right arm, and now Kiska knows to squat down to dodge it. Then it tries a strike with its left arm, but Kiska rolls to the right side, hopping behind it to avoid the attack completely. He realizes that panicking and running away only leads to another painful death. Instead, he needs to stay calm, focused, and wait for the right moment. He dodges again, this time smoothly, and something clicks in his mind. Every time he dies, he learns. Every reset makes him smarter, faster, and stronger. With that knowledge, he slams a punch into the bugbear's face. It's a lucky hit, and Kiska feels a spark of excitement. He's finally making progress. But then reality strikes. His attack is too weak to defeat the monster. Still, the blow gives him a small window to escape. He knows the bugbear will stay unconscious for about 25 seconds, so he uses that time to run through the dungeon, searching for something that might help him. He remembers that there are hidden treasures in the dungeon, but his search yields nothing. Suddenly, he hears the bugbear roaring behind him, and panic rises once more. Frustrated, he pushes forward, remembering a place he's never reached because every time he tries, he falls into a trap and dies. He's attempted this escape nearly 200 times, and with each failure, his skills have improved. He knows now that if he targets the bugbear's eyes, it will stay down for about 35 seconds, giving him more time to move ahead, but the path before him is still fraught with danger. The traps remain, and he can only move so far before they ensnare him again. Yet despite the constant danger, Kiska feels ready. This time, he's different, smarter, stronger, and more determined than ever to survive. He has memorized everything through trial and error. Without hesitation, he leaps into a deep well filled with sharp nails. Somehow, this time, he survives. He breathes a sigh of relief and feels a surge of pride. Laughing, he looks back at the bugbear, unable to reach him now. Excitement fills him. He's finally made it to the hidden room. He thinks back to every time he was impaled, all the pain that brought him to this moment. Entering the room, he spots a treasure chest. His eyes widen and he shouts with joy. He's finally found it. He opens the chest, and inside lies a massive diamond. A message informs Kiska he's obtained the Crystal of Wisdom, which activates upon use. Immediately, a new screen displays a range of powerful skills. Ranked from S to D, higher ranks offer advanced abilities like resilience, speed, and magic enhancements, while lower ranks include basic combat skills, resistance boosts, and minor sensory upgrades. The screen prompts Kiska to choose one skill from the list. His eyes widen as he takes in the options, amazed by the possibilities. He knows he only has one chance to choose wisely. After considering healing magic and fire magic, he realizes they may not be helpful as he lacks basic magical abilities like magic generation. Sword fighting and archery seem appealing, but without weapons, they would be useless. His attention then turns to the powerful S-rank skills. Speed boost could help him run faster, but if he wants to stay hidden and survive, invisibility seems like the smarter choice. He chooses invisibility. A message appears, confirming that he has successfully acquired the stealth skill. Kiska feels a spark of hope, believing this could be his key to survival. But that feeling is short-lived. Suddenly, multiple bugbears emerge from all directions, surrounding him completely. Shocked, Kiska realizes he's trapped. Before he can activate his new skill or escape, the bugbears attack, and once again, he dies. Kiska recalls the moment he got brutally beaten to death by 10 bugbears in the treasure room, and the memory drives him to try again. This time, he selects a new skill, acceleration, a powerful speed-boosting ability. The moment he activates it, he notices a huge difference. The bugbear's movements now appear to him in slow motion. Excitement fills him. After dying more than 200 times, he finally feels like he has an advantage. The stealth skill he tried earlier was useless against so many enemies, but now, with acceleration, he believes he might actually survive and escape. He strikes a bugbear, and for a brief moment, confidence floods him. But then he looks down and notes his broken hand from the extreme force of the skill. Panic surges through him, but his hand heals almost immediately, thanks to the reset skill. This confirms his suspicion. He can keep trying and making progress, even after failure. He realizes that if he uses acceleration just to dodge attacks, rather than recklessly trying to fight, he can find many opportunities to strike safely. With renewed determination, he selects acceleration again and prepares to storm the treasure room. After about 225 attempts in total, he finally makes it back to the room. Exhausted, he whispers to himself he's back at last. Reaching this room feels like a triumph, even though he admits he died 5 more times on the way due to carelessness. Still, he knows he's improving step by step. He activates acceleration once more, ready to face the bugbears. As the monsters charge, he sprints toward them, activating the skill, and shouts in his mind, "The fight has begun." But then, something strange happens. The skill doesn't work as expected. Confused and increasingly frustrated, Kiska wonders why nothing is happening. The acceleration skill, which once seemed like the key to survival, has only led to his repeated deaths. By attempt number 300, he has endured countless resets, each one ending in failure. His speed lets him strike at the bugbear's eyes, but even when they are injured, they fight through the pain, relentless in their attacks. He tries sneaking around to choke one of them from behind, but the other bugbears always catch him, killing him easily. Each time, the weight of hopelessness grows heavier. As one bugbear grabs him again, a terrifying thought crosses Kiska's mind. What if, even with S-rank skills, he can't defeat even one bugbear? The thought sends a chill through him. Then the bugbear slams its punch into his face again, and he realizes something painful. Acceleration alone is not enough. After nearly 300 attempts, he comes to the crushing conclusion that this skill is not the answer. He must start all over again, and the thought of doing so leaves him too scared and tired to even press the skill icon again. Every time he resets and comes back to life, he's immediately attacked by the first bugbear, trapped in a cycle of death. He feels completely stuck, and the weight of failure threatens to overwhelm him. Just as Kiska is about to give up, Namia appears, smiling gently as she softly calls his name. Stunned, he whispers her name in disbelief. Before he can respond, Darga steps in, smirking and mockingly asking if Kiska plans to come back to life again. The sight of Darga fills him with an intense, burning rage. That hatred is the only thing that keeps him going. Without it, he would have given up long ago. Gritting his teeth, Kiska makes a promise to himself. He will escape this dungeon, and he will get my revenge with my own hands. Determined, he charges toward the bugbears again, no longer afraid. This time, he has a new plan. He combines several skills. First, hand-to-hand combat, then body strengthening, followed by physical strengthening. He starts testing how each new skill works against the bugbears. Though he keeps dying every time he returns, he grows a little stronger. Finally, by attempt number 420, he notices a significant difference. The physical strengthening skill proves to be immensely powerful. His attack power, defense, and even jumping ability all improve dramatically. Kiska's heart races with newfound hope. He's getting closer to his goal. His movements become more balanced, and with newfound confidence, he eyes the group of bugbears, realizing that his real enemy isn't just any of them, it's Bugbear A, the one he's been stuck against since the beginning. He jokingly names the others Bugbear B and C, noting how similar they all are. With his enhanced strength and determination, he kicks one of the monsters with full force, and a message flashes on the screen. Monster eliminated and skill point acquired. For the first time after countless deaths, Kiska has defeated a bugbear, and this victory gives him hope. He quickly checks his status, seeing that his skill points have increased to 12 SP, with physical strengthening now at level 2. To level up, he needs 100 more SP. His excitement grows as he realizes that defeating more bugbears might eventually make him strong enough to overcome all 10. However, a new message appears, revealing that reaching level 3 of physical strengthening requires 100 SP, dashing his hopes. He does the math and realizes he'd need to defeat nearly all of the bugbears just to level up again, an impossible feat. Without further leveling, he knows he won't survive the next fights. By attempt number 510, the weight of repeated failure becomes overwhelming. Kiska breaks down, screaming and crying, asking why he's been cursed with this endless fate. He blames Darga for everything, shouting that it's his fault he is trapped in this loop of death. His voice trembles with pain and rage as he swears to escape the dungeon. Kiska swears that once he's free, he will get revenge on every villager who betrayed him. He vows to kill them all, but deep inside, even as he shouts these words, he feels himself breaking. Exhausted and wounded, his thoughts begin to spiral into despair. A part of him begins to give up, and he starts to believe he may never escape the dungeon. In his frustration, he accidentally selects a new skill called Provoke, and the screen confirms that he's acquired it. He hadn't meant to choose it and mumbles to himself that he wasn't paying attention. He doubts the skill will help, assuming Provoke will be useless, and expects he'll die again and try a better skill afterward. However, since it's already selected, he decides to test it. As a bugbear charges at him, Kiska dodges quickly and is surprised when the skill actually does something. He points at the monster and taunts it, causing one bugbear to charge at him in anger and accidentally punch another bugbear. The second bugbear crashes to the ground, and Kiska is stunned. He starts laughing, unable to believe that this seemingly silly skill is working better than all the others he tried before. Feeling renewed, he declares that he's tired of everything he's been through and will now use Provoke to crush them all. With his confidence restored, he taunts the bugbears, shouting insults and drawing their attention. One by one, the bugbears take each other out through friendly fire until only 2 remain. Grinning, Kiska thinks the end is near. When the last 2 bugbears charge at him, he taunts them and leaps aside at the last second. They crash into each other, falling to the ground. Finally, Kiska stands victorious. He breathes deeply, feeling excitement and relief wash over him as he realizes that, after all his struggles, he has finally conquered the treasure room, defeating the 10 bugbears. It only took him around 510 attempts. The scene transitions to Kiska sprinting through the dungeon, panic clawing at him. He's just cleared an incredibly difficult room, having fought 10 bugbears, and after defeating them, a door appeared, leading to a new area of the dungeon. But things aren't getting any easier. Now in rank A, Headless Mule roams the floor, and it's already killed him 10 times. Frustration and terror weigh heavily on him. However, there is a small piece of good news. By sheer luck, Kiska had once managed to update his respawn point to the room after the bugbear fight. This means he no longer has to endure the exhausting and painful battle with the 10 bugbears every time he dies. It's a small comfort, but it gives him some relief and a bit of hope. He tells himself that not having to face the bugbears again lightens his heart. As he explores this new floor, he notices something strange. 3 glowing circles on the ground. He walks closer, confused at first, but then realizes they must be teleportation circles, likely leading to different parts of the dungeon. Knowing that choosing one is risky, he isn't too frightened. If he chooses wrong and dies, he reasons he'll just respawn in the same room and try a different circle. With a mix of nervousness and confidence, he stands in the center of one circle and prepares for whatever comes next. He's sent to another part of the dungeon and surveys his surroundings. There's only one path ahead. Determined, he tells himself that there's only one way forward and starts walking. As he moves deeper into the area, something surprising catches his eye. A girl trapped inside a glass case, chained up and surrounded by strange energy. As he approaches, the shock hits him. She's the same girl who gave him the save and reset skill earlier. Kiska stares in shock at the girl trapped inside the glass-like barrier, wondering if it's blocking or protecting her. He hesitantly reaches out and touches the barrier, only to be stunned when the chains holding her break with ease. Surprised by how simple the action was, he quickly asks if she's okay. The girl, sitting on the ground, looks confused and tells him he must have awakened her. Kiska then asks directly if she's the one who gave him the skill and demands to know who she is. She smiles and calmly introduces herself as Ijeb Tsubaki, an ex-hero who was sealed away in the dungeon. Kiska, stunned by this revelation, repeats her name in his mind. Amazed that she's an ex-hero, she then asks for his name, and he tells her it's Kiska. She comments that it's a nice name and kindly asks him to bend down a little. He leans forward, but to his shock, she suddenly kisses him. He pulls back, confused, and asks what she's doing. With a smile, she says it's just a thank you, then teasingly asks if he didn't like it. Flustered, Kiska stammers that he wouldn't say that, though inside, he's puzzled by her actions and wonders what kind of person she truly is. She then asks if he wants to escape the dungeon, and he eagerly agrees, saying he's definitely planning to. With a gentle push, she smiles and tells him to follow her, promising to help him. Kiska decides to trust her and follows. Later, they encounter the Headless Mule, the same monster that killed Kiska many times. To his amazement, Ajiha instantly defeats it with powerful magic. Kiska is in awe of her strength and thinks that with her, he might actually survive and escape the dungeon. She smiles at him and asks if he thinks she's strong, and he nods, confirming it. Proudly, she agrees with him, and as she crushes the monster's body with ease using more magic, Kiska becomes even more impressed. But then, noticing something strange, he asks her what she's doing. Ajiha explains that she has a skill called Item Box, which allows her to store and retrieve anything at will. Kiska recalls seeing that skill in the menu before and now understands its usefulness. She can make items disappear and reappear with ease. After collecting something from the golem's body, she declares that her magic collection is complete and suggests they continue. Curious, Kiska asks where they are going next, and she informs him that there's a room ahead of the dungeon's mini-boss. Surprised, he asks if she really plans to fight the mini-boss, and she nods, explaining that defeating the boss is necessary to move forward. She adds that if he hadn't freed her, she'd still be sealed away, unable to help herself, and with a smile, she claims to fight for him. Kiska, feeling grateful, replies that her help has kept him alive so far, so they are even. She laughs gently and agrees, saying it sounds about right. When they open the next door, they come face to face with the mini-boss, an enormous S-rank golem, a terrifying and powerful enemy. Kiska stares in shock, estimating the golem must be at least 10 meters tall. As it begins to attack, Ajiha immediately calls his name, telling him to get behind her. Kiska quickly obeys, moving for safety. Holding her sword, she reassures him, promising to protect him. Then she charges at the golem and the battle begins. Kiska watches in awe as she stands her ground fearlessly against the massive creature. With each blow, she weakens it, and he grows more hopeful, believing she's going to win. But suddenly, her foot slips, and she crashes to the ground. Panicked, Kiska shouts her name, realizing that despite her defenses, the golem's attack sends her flying. Frantic, he tries to distract the monster, shouting loudly to get its attention, and instinctively considers using his provoke skill. Ajiha sees what Kiska is doing and yells at him not to use his provoke skill, but it's too late. The golem turns toward him and delivers a devastating punch, slamming him into the wall. Tears fill Ajiha's eyes as she rushes toward him, crying out that she promised to protect him. Despite being injured and stuck in the wall, Kiska laughs, telling her that dodging is the one thing he's actually good at. He remembers how much he practiced dodging during the battle with the bugbears. Just as he finishes speaking, the golem swings another punch. Kiska gets hit again, but this time something clicks. The golem's arm gets stuck. He shouts to Ajiha that the golem's arm is trapped. She quickly understands and, with a determined shout, leaps high into the air. She activates her powerful move, Sacred Sword Technique, Dragon Slayer, and her sword glows with energy as she slashes downward, cutting the golem into 2 giant pieces. The monster is defeated. After the battle, Ajiha runs toward Kiska with excitement, shouting his name and hugging him tightly, saying they did it. Kiska laughs, nodding in agreement, and inside he feels proud. The mini-boss, the golem, has been defeated, and for the first time, Kiska allows himself to believe things are finally getting better. But then he reveals, or at least, that's what he thought at the time. After defeating the giant golem, Kiska and Ajiha discover a hidden passage and press forward through the dungeon, hoping they're getting closer to an exit. While crawling through a narrow tunnel, Ajiha suddenly calls out in excitement. Kiska hurries after her and is stunned when they step into a hidden room. Unlike the rest of the dungeon, this space feels strangely cozy, like someone's private bedroom. Ajiha observes the surroundings and explains that the room was likely created by a vampire for personal use. Kiska's eyes widen at the mention of vampires, asking if such creatures truly live in the dungeon. Ajiha confirms that a powerful vampire named Judith has made this place her stronghold. Kiska, uneasy, wonders if it's really safe to stay there. But Ajiha, seemingly unbothered, says she's tired and suggests they rest there for the night. Though Kiska remains wary, he agrees, deciding to trust her. Still feeling nervous, Kiska lingers nearby as Ajiha invites him to sit and talk. Hesitantly, he joins her, sitting down beside her with a blush on his face. Wanting to know what she really thinks, he asks if she finds him strange, particularly because of his silver hair. Surprised by his question, Ajiha reassures him, saying his hair looks nice. She adds that there's something special, almost magical, about it. Kiska, touched by the compliment, smiles. He recalls that silver hair is a trait of the Arcus tribe, a group that is often shunned. No one had ever complimented his hair before until now. Ajiha is the second person to do so, and it warms his heart. She then reveals something even more surprising, that she's from another world entirely. Kiska is stunned, unsure if he heard her correctly. Ajiha confirms it, explaining that she arrived here from a different world. He's confused but fascinated by the idea. When she notices his hesitation, she asks if he believes her. Kiska quickly assures her that he does. She smiles gently and rests her head on his shoulder. A warm, unfamiliar feeling spreads through him, and he wonders if this connection they shared is because of where she came from. Suddenly, his stomach growls, breaking the quiet moment. Ajiha reacts immediately and asks if he's hungry. Kiska admits that he hasn't eaten real food since entering the dungeon. With cheerful energy, she springs to action, pulling out headless mule meat from her item box and promising to cook for him. Soon, a delicious aroma fills the room. When the food is ready, she eagerly calls him over to try it. Kiska takes a bite and is shocked by how good it tastes. He smiles gratefully, and she beams with pride. To him, the food is more than a meal. It's comfort, something rare and precious in the dungeon. With the small amount of herbs and seasonings she still has, she's created something warm and familiar. Kiska, overcome with emotion, finds tears welling in his eyes. She notices and immediately becomes concerned, asking if something is wrong. Kiska quietly admits that the food moved him more than he expected. After they finish eating, Kiska yawns and says he's ready to sleep. He offers to take the couch so she can have the bed. Ajiha gently refuses, saying it's unnecessary. They can both sleep in the bed. Embarrassed and unsure, he declines the offer, choosing instead to rest apart. As he lies down, his thoughts swirl. He wonders how he's managed to survive so far. He feels weak compared to Ajiha, always leaning on her strength. Deep down, he promises himself that he'll grow stronger and become someone she can rely on as well. Later that night, Kiska stirs when he hears movement. Ajiha quietly walks over to him. He opens his eyes and starts to speak, but she gently silences him with a gesture. She expresses her feelings for him. Overwhelmed, he struggles to respond. He quietly asks why someone like her would care so deeply about him. Ajiha begins to share her past. She reveals that she had been sealed away deep in the dungeon for centuries, waiting in silence. Over time, she had placed her hope in others, giving her special skill to countless adventurers, wishing one of them would be the one to free her. But none ever made it. Until now, she tells Kiska that he is the only one who reached her, the one she had been waiting for. Her words stir something in him, but when she moves closer again, Kiska steps back. Distressed, he tells her that he can't return her feelings. She falls quiet, clearly hurt. After a pause, she offers a sinister smile and tells him that even being second in his heart would be enough for her. Despite this, he remains conflicted. He gently but firmly pushes her away, overwhelmed by discomfort. Ajiha stumbles back slightly and sits on the floor. The air between them grows heavy. She apologizes softly, saying she may have gotten carried away. Without waiting for a response, she quietly returns to the bed, saying nothing more. Kiska watches her, struggling with guilt. He didn't mean to hurt her, but he reacted instinctively. Her actions reminded him of something dark, memories tied to someone he couldn't protect. That person, Namia, is the one he truly loves. He knows he still needs Ajiha's strength to survive the dungeon. But now everything feels more complicated. He tells himself that by morning, he needs to set things right and move forward. Eventually, exhaustion overtakes him and he falls asleep. But when he wakes the next morning, the room is filled with a terrible silence. His eyes scan the space, and then he freezes. Ajiha is hanging by a rope. A rush of horror sweeps through him as he stares, unable to comprehend what he's seeing. His eyes widen in shock, and he screams before throwing up, overwhelmed with sorrow and confusion. He starts questioning himself, wondering if he's the cause of her death, thinking maybe she killed herself because he rejected her. He struggles with the crushing guilt, holding his head in distress, trying to make sense of the situation. He tells himself it was just an accident, that he's not a bad person. Shaken, he runs through a narrow exit, but a monster ambushes him. Struggling to fight back, he realizes how much he relied on Ajiha. Alone and unprepared, he's quickly overwhelmed and killed. Sitting on the ground in pain and confusion, he wonders if the world has reset again. He questions whether rejecting her love led to her demise, and whether he should have accepted her feelings instead. Then he remembers Nania and reaffirms to himself that she is his girlfriend. When he finds the barrier where Ajiha is tied up with chains, still alive, something clicks. He realizes that if he just resets again, she will always come back, always be there. This time, he decides to accept her love, hoping it will break the cycle of death and regret. He reaches out and touches the barrier, and to his surprise, it breaks. Hope rises in him, believing that she will be able to help him once again. But when she looks at him, her expression is sharp and cold. She looks at him without recognition and asks who he is. Kiska quickly responds, expecting her to remember, but she denies knowing him and remarks on his awful smell. Shock and confusion flood him as he realizes something feels terribly wrong. This girl looks exactly like Ajiha, but something about her is different. He nervously asks if she's Ajiha. She pauses, then acknowledges they've met before. A chill runs through Kiska. He realizes she's the one who gave him the skill. It makes sense to Kiska that the girl would think he's already met her before. She continues speaking, guessing that he must have gone against her in a previous loop. In panic, he quickly responds, insisting that it's a misunderstanding and that he's not her enemy. But she ignores his words and grins in a creepy, unsettling way, telling him that the bad smell he gives off is the reason she doesn't trust him. Suddenly, she grabs his neck tightly, choking him. He struggles to speak and tries to convince her to stop, but she doesn't listen. With sharp eyes, the girl warns him not to think that everything will reset just because he dies. She tells him that not even death can erase his actions. They remain etched into his soul. Struggling to breathe, Kiska asks who she really is. She answers coldly, saying her identity is closer to his than he realizes, and that the real Ajiha would never speak to someone like him. When he pleads to speak with Ajiha, she refuses, stating that Ajiha wants nothing to do with him. Confused and overwhelmed, he tries to understand who this girl truly is and what she means. But before leaving, she gives him a final warning: never involve himself with her again. Fear and confusion overwhelm him as he sits back on the ground. Then, without mercy, she snaps his neck. As he dies, he thinks in horror he doesn't understand. Who is she? Is she Ajiha or someone else? It feels like she has two different personalities. After resetting, Kiska slowly stands up, thinking to himself that he can't deal with her anymore. If she sees him again, she'll end him. He decides that he will never break the seal where she's trapped and won't go near her again. However, he also realizes that wandering the dungeon without her help will be incredibly difficult. Still, he tells himself that he must find another way to survive. He stands in front of 3 teleportation circles. Remembering that last time he used the one in the middle, he decides to try the one on the left this time. He steps into the circle, and it teleports him to another part of the dungeon. Looking around, he notices the path seems similar to the one he walked with Ajiha. He thinks that even in this new location, there's still only one path to follow. As he moves forward, he eventually sees a girl sitting calmly on a chair drinking tea. His eyes widen in shock. He can't believe that someone is casually relaxing in the middle of this dangerous, hellish dungeon. He wonders who she is and when she even got there. The girl looks up at him and comments that it's rare for an intruder to show up in this place. Still confused, he tries to make sense of the situation. She then asks why he's come and what he wants. Awkwardly, he answers that he's looking for a way out of the dungeon. At this, the girl becomes offended and tells him his answer is rude because she is the great true ancestor of the vampires. She demands that he show more respect if he knows who she is. To demonstrate her power, she scratches her wrist with her sharp nails, making blood pour out. It instantly turns into a weapon that pierces through him. She smiles coldly and ends his life without hesitation. Kiska dies again and resets back to the place where he was sitting on the ground. With wide eyes and disbelief, he thinks to himself that he's died once more and realizes that this dungeon is full of dangerous, crazy people. As he tries to gather his thoughts, a memory surfaces, something Ajiha once told him about a vampire living deep within the dungeon. The realization hits him hard. The girl who killed him must have been the one she warned him about. Quietly, he concludes it was Judith, the true ancestor of the vampires. He remembers how Judith looked, innocent and delicate in appearance, dressed like a harmless girl, but beneath that facade she was deadly. The thought of facing her again terrifies him. She had attacked without warning, and he knows he stands no chance against someone like her. That leaves him with only one option, the third route. Without hesitation, Kiska rushes back to the teleportation circles and selects the one on the right, hoping this new path will be safer, free from violent, unpredictable people like Ajiha or Judith. After walking for a short while, he spots something unusual on the ground, a sword. It looks suspicious but powerful. Until now, he's come this far without a weapon. Maybe, he thinks, this is what he needs to finally survive. Cautiously, he reaches for it. The moment his hand touches the blade, searing pain floods through him. It burns like fire, and he screams. His hand refuses to let go. The agony lasts for minutes until his body gives out and he faints. When he regains consciousness, he's still alive. Breathing heavily, he tries to make sense of what just happened. But then he looks at his arm and freezes. The sword has fused with his right arm, the metal now part of his flesh, almost as if it grew into him. It's heavy, weighing down his entire arm, and he struggles to lift it. Before he can recover, a monster appears, an A-rank werewolf. Panic surges through him. He can't fight like this. But then something unexpected happens. The sword moves on its own. In a blur of motion, it attacks the werewolf without Kiska's input, tearing the creature apart in an instant. Stunned, he realizes the sword is alive, or something close to it. The weapon feels eerie and unnatural, but its power is undeniable. If this is what it takes to survive, he'll use it. As another monster charges at him, the sword acts again, destroying it effortlessly. For the first time, Kiska feels a flicker of hope. With this sword, he might stand a chance. Later, he reaches a large gate and recognizes it as the entrance to a mini-boss room, the same one where he and Uchiha once fought the golem. He wonders if the same enemy awaits him. Pushing the doors open cautiously, he's met by a different foe, a massive creature with the body of a lion and wings of an eagle. A griffin, an S-rank monster. It attacks immediately. The sword reacts, guiding Kiska out of harm's way with perfect timing. With each strike from the griffin, the sword counters flawlessly. He believes that his best strategy is to let the sword lead. Then, with one swift motion, it delivers a fatal blow, decapitating the griffin. He stands in awe. The black sword is more powerful than he ever imagined. After the fight, he finds a hidden door behind the boss room, and hope returns. With this weapon, escape finally feels possible. But something isn't right. The sword feels heavier than before. Each step becomes more difficult, and fatigue sets in fast. He wonders if it's the sword changing or something inside him. As he pushes forward, a familiar figure appears in his path. His heart drops. Standing calmly ahead is Judith, the vampire who had killed him before. She watches him with a soft smile and a strange calmness. Kiska freezes, overwhelmed with confusion and dread, trying to make sense of why she's there now, waiting. He stops in shock upon seeing her. She smirks, amused that he's still in control. As he struggles to breathe, she calmly states she's here to destroy the parasitic sword fused to his right arm. Still confused, he repeats her word. She explains, the sword is a puppet master, a living weapon that feeds on monsters and people. It was supposed to stay buried in a forgotten dungeon, but somehow it didn't. He asks if she's here to kill him. She nods, almost impressed that he figured it out so quickly. Then, without hesitation, she grips her arm and tears half of it. It twists and reshapes into a sharp blade. He stumbles back, horrified. Lifting the weapon, she smirks and tells him to die. He yells in disbelief as she charges, sword arm gleaming. He blocks just in time, blades clashing. She shoves forward, but he resists. Growling in frustration, she blames the sword for defiance. He grits his teeth, determined not to lose. With a final push, he knocks her back. She lands effortlessly, grinning now that the sword has grown so much. Defeating him won't be easy, but the fight is far from over. Doubt creeps into his mind. Can he win this? Tilting her head, she suddenly raises her blade hand and utters "Shallow Rainstorm." A thunderous blast erupts, followed by a piercing projectile that tears through him, ripping holes in his body. He collapses. Watching coldly, she admits she hadn't wanted to use that move since it disables her left arm, but he gave her no choice. As she turns away, her damaged arm begins to regenerate. Later, after resetting, he sits hunched over, breathing hard, muttering that he's died again. Frustrated, he wonders what to do next. Maybe there's still a way to fix this. He thinks back to the outcomes of each teleportation path. The first one takes him to the seal Uchiha. When he breaks the seal, someone pretending to be her kills him. The second takes him to the vampire Judith, who kills him on sight. The third brings him to the parasitic sword puppet, which lets him delve deeper into the dungeon, but eventually he dies by Judith's hand. So if survival is the goal, he figures, his only real option is the third path. Armed with the parasitic sword, he must face and defeat Judith head-on. Determined, he recalls her words. The blade is a parasite that feeds on people and monsters to grow stronger. That means if he can raise its power enough before encountering her, he might actually stand a chance. With that thought, his hesitation vanishes. The race against time begins. He dashes forward, silently urging himself onward. He has no time to waste. He finally arrives, scanning the stone around him, while thinking he's managed to reach 5 hours earlier than before. This is where the teleportation circle had dropped him last time, right into Judith's hands. He clenches his fists and mutters a quick prayer, hoping she won't be waiting this time. Fueled by urgency, he steps through the teleportation circle and lands in a dimly lit corridor stretching ahead. Cautiously, he walks forward, peering around each corner. Relieved to find the corridor empty, he exhales and pushes forward. But as he turns the next corner, his eyes widen. An entire werewolf nest looms ahead, packed with snarling beasts. He ducks behind a wall as their howls rise, but instead of fear, a grin spreads across his face. Perfect. Muttering thanks, he charges in, slicing through them with ease, each kill feeding the parasitic sword pulsing hungrily in his grip. Blood covers the floor, bodies severed and scattered. Judith steps into the carnage, momentarily surprised. With a dry remark, she notes he's fed the sword well, maybe too well, its rapid growth now making him dangerous. At the center, Kiska stands panting, back turned. Sensing her gaze, he turns just enough to reveal one eye, the other overtaken by the parasite. She comments with mild amusement that the sword has begun devouring his mind. He growls, demanding clarification, but she brushes it off, saying it won't change what she came to do. Raising her arm, it transforms into a blade once more. He braces himself, and she promises a fair fight. Still, he loses. Dropping to his knees, he clutches his head in disbelief. No matter how hard he tries, even getting close at times, the sword always consumes him. If he escapes in that state, nothing matters. Whether it's a Jeha, Judith, or the sword path, every route ends in death. Eyes shut tight, he searches for any remaining option. Then it hits him one last path. Rising slowly, he murmurs that he'll try it, just to see. Death doesn't scare him anymore. Facing the 3 teleportation spells, he bites his lip and chooses one. In an instant, he appears before Judith once again, seated calmly with tea in hand. She looks up, mildly surprised, noting how rare it is for someone to arrive like this. He recalls how she killed him last time for being rude, not this time. Without hesitation, he kneels and speaks with refined respect, calling her the great vampire ancestor and humbly requesting a favor. Her eyes widen faintly as he continues, asking her to take care of him and make him her disciple, calling her Great Judith. Judith's eyes widen in surprise. She sets her tea on the saucer, intrigued, and asks what makes him think she would take him as her disciple. He remains kneeling, determined. This, he thinks, is his chance to survive. She questions what's in it for her, prompting him to raise his head and smile. He offers that if she accepts him as her disciple, he will be her loyal foot soldier, following every command. Her eyes flicker with interest, but her smile fades. She finds that boring. He's taken aback, unsure of her response. She raises her hand, her nails slicing into her palm, and tells him that he disgusts her and she will leave him to die. In an instant, she slashes him with her sword, and he falls. Once again, he finds himself responding, but this time he has a plan. He recognizes that to escape this dungeon, he must grow stronger. Becoming Judith's disciple could be the key, but he needs to offer her more than just loyalty. Judith may be a cruel vampire, but she isn't untouchable. If he can find what she desires, he might just earn a place by her side. The scene repeats. He kneels before her, and she sips her tea, waiting. She asks what's in it for her, and he responds with a plan. He mentions that after spending so much time in the dungeon, she must be lonely, with no one to talk to. He offers to be the one she can confide in. She sips her tea, sets it on the saucer, and calmly tells him she doesn't feel lonely, wondering what gave him that impression. Without a moment's hesitation, she raises her hand, preparing to tear it open and transform it into a sword. His heart races as panic sets in. He quickly shouts for her to wait, claiming he still has more to offer. Intrigued, she halts and tells him to continue. He breathes a sigh of relief, but remains unsure of what to say next. After a pause, he insists he's skilled, mentioning his years of experience in the fields. He's confident in his abilities and particularly good at building hideaways. Judith casually responds, saying she could do it better, lifting a table effortlessly with one hand. He lowers his head in defeat, acknowledging her strength. She sets the table back down and asks if he has anything else to offer. Hesitant, he admits he has nothing more to offer. His body trembles in frustration as she raises her hand again. But this time, he stands firm, determined to survive and escape the dungeon. He shares his painful past, explaining he was born in the village of Katarov, where the dungeon is located. He speaks of the persecution he endured, how a woman once loved him, but men like Darga killed her. He was blamed for her death and banished to the dungeon. Judith listens, but her response is cold and indifferent. She asks, how does any of this relate to her? His expression hardens, and he vows to take revenge on the villagers. He promises to torture and kill them almost brutally, asking for her help in the massacre. He pledges his full dedication to her cause. Her eyes widen with intrigue, and a smile slowly spreads across her face. She stands, clearly impressed by his response, and with a smile, says it's an interesting proposition. Eager to see how he handles it, she turns to leave. He asks if that's all, to which she warns him not to get too excited just yet. Over her shoulder, she mentions that if he passes the test she's set, she will allow him to become her apprentice. She asks if he used a teleportation circle to arrive, and he confirms, saying he used the leftmost of the 3 circles. She explains that this dungeon is unique. Once you step on a teleportation circle, there's no going back. She moves to a corner of the room, and he realizes this is where he teleported before. She adds that with a special secret, It's possible to access another route. Pressing a brick in the wall, a hidden passage reveals itself. His eyes widen in awe, amazed by the secret passages in the dungeon. As they walk through the corridor, they reach another dead end. She presses another button, unveiling yet another corridor, but this time a sword lies at the end of it. He immediately recognizes it as the parasitic sword. She explains it's the puppet sword, a troublesome weapon she's long wanted to destroy but can't, since it's a parasite. He recalls wielding it before and now understands her warning. When he asks what to do, she smiles and says he must overcome the sword's nature and take control of it. If he succeeds, he passes. He stares in disbelief. Is that even possible? She admits she isn't sure, but warns there's no choice. Refusal means death. After hesitating, he agrees. She tells him to grip the blade, focus on its health, and pull quickly. He nods, grabs it, and yanks it free, wincing at the sharp pain, though it's less than when he touched its health earlier. When he asks what's next, she replies flatly, swallow it. He freezes, unsure if he heard her right. She calmly clarifies, start with the tip, look up, and push from the back of the throat. Thinking death is the only other option, he steels himself and begins. The pain is overwhelming as the blade enters his mouth. As it sinks deeper, he wonders if this will kill him. Then everything goes dark. In the void, a mouth and single eye appear, staring at him. The mouth asks if he's the one who wants to be its master. He snaps, demanding its identity. It calmly introduces itself as the puppet sword, its true form. Startled, he realizes he's talking to the sword directly. When he asks where they are, it replies the deep world inside his mind. He requests its power, and the mouth agrees without hesitation. Shocked, he stammers, is it really that easy? The mouth laughs, amused by his surprise, reminding him it was his request. Scratching his head, he admits he expected rejection. The mouth explains it won't refuse. His soul feels oddly familiar. Curious, he repeats the word. The mouth only says it feels like it could follow him. Suddenly, his eyes snap open to a voice saying, my regards, master. He jolts upright. Judith gasps, stunned. She never thought he'd succeed. He stares, overwhelmed, whispering that he really did it, that he controlled the sword. With a pleased smile, she declares he's passed. Dropping to his knees, he silently celebrates he's finally her apprentice. And so his strange new life with the vampire begins. The next morning, Kiska wakes up in bed, stretching as the reality of being Judith's disciple sinks in. They had stayed in the same hideout last night, though in separate rooms since there was only one bed. She had mentioned the place was full of hidden chambers. Flustered, he averts his gaze and gently wakes her. Rubbing his eyes, he says good morning. She casually notes he's up early. He bows politely in return, still unsure how to act around her despite being her disciple. She's still just a girl in his eyes. She sits up, declaring that his training begins today. He quickly affirms his readiness, no matter how tough it may be. Pleased, she says she'll go change and return shortly. Later, as they walk down a corridor, she asks about his skills. He answers honestly, just provocation. She raises a brow, unimpressed, and he admits it's not much. Internally, he hides the truth about his save and reset ability, deciding to keep it secret. She pauses, presses a brick in the wall, and reveals a hidden corridor. He comments in awe, and she chuckles, claiming she knows every secret of the dungeon. It's been her home for nearly 1,000 years. Shocked, he thinks he definitely made the right choice in becoming her disciple. At the far end, she taps a tile, revealing a treasure-filled room. Leading him in, she explains the chest's grant skills. He stares in awe at the unfamiliar treasure. Skills like pursuit and enhanced judgment catch his eye. Unsure what to choose, he asks for her advice. She recommends swordsmanship, saying it's essential to control the blade, now part of him. He nods, understanding, and confirms his choice. With the skill acquired, he clenches his fist, feeling ready to wield the sword at will. Judith then informs him that to gain the next skill, they must head to the dungeon's deepest part. Though surprised, he follows without question. Using hidden passages, they avoid most enemies, but unease begins to creep in. At another chest, Judith informs that it's a luck-based one, the Crystal of Wisdom, containing random skills from a woman with many talents. He opens it, and a notification appears. Attribute grinding acquired. Confused, he studies his hands. Judith smiles, warning that it's rare but useless without magic. Disappointed, he realizes it's not what he hoped for. She reassures him, reminding him it's part of the process and that he likely plans to get magic later anyway. As she turns to leave, he spots a door at the back and asks where it leads. She reveals it's the boss room and also the dungeon's exit. His eyes widen in shock as he realizes that defeating the boss means escape. She confirms, saying, yes, of course. He feels a surge of hope, realizing that he's found the way out. However, he hesitates, asking if Judith can defeat the boss in the master's room. She explains that the boss is ranked SSS, and since its appearance, she hasn't been able to leave for 50 years. He realizes that even she can't defeat the monster in that room. She then tells him that to escape, he'll need to be as strong as she is, or even stronger. Only then can they defeat the monster together. With a firm resolution, she turns to leave, saying it's time to train. He follows her, determined to improve. Later in their training room, she explains that she drains the blood from her body, cutting her hand and manipulating it freely. He's already familiar with this, having been killed by it many times in previous duels. She shapes her blood into a dagger, showing precise control. He watches closely, realizing the dagger's size is tied to how much blood she uses. She tells him he can do the same with the sword now embedded in his body. Focusing hard, he clasps both fists together as instructed. When he opens his eyes, he sees a sword handle forming between his hands, and the full blade appears. A notification confirms it. He's attained the Lord of Parasitic Puppet sword skill, along with the derived black sword ability. Amazed, he exclaims that it actually worked. She smiles, pleased with his progress, and tells him he's finally ready to fight. Then she gives him his first assignment, land just one blow on her, and the task is complete. He hesitates, asking if it's really okay to fight her. She assures him she would never kill during training. He smiles awkwardly, still unsure if striking her is right. Growing irritated, she grins darkly and taunts him. Does he really think he can land a hit? He realizes she's angry despite suggesting the challenge. Suddenly, she lunges with her dagger. He reacts fast, ducking under the blow. She follows up in one smooth motion, slashing again, but he pushes her back just in time. He smirks, sensing that she's seriously trying to train him, though he wonders if he's poked a sleeping tiger. She taunts him, warning that if he keeps dodging her attacks, he won't be able to complete the task. Then, with a quick leap, she comes at him once more, dagger raised. He blocks the blow with his sword, but her force is overwhelming, throwing him back and off balance. He regains his stance, thankful for his swordsmanship skill, which helped him mitigate the impact, but realizes she's a power fighter. She wields a large sword with one hand effortlessly. Even if he could close the distance, he'd be easily wiped out. Despite being just a girl, he knows if this keeps up, he'll be killed. He thinks to himself that he has to finish the task, no matter what. She moves toward him again, and he blocks the strike, but is still pushed back. She swings the dagger at him again, and this time, he blocks the strike and lifts his sword, tension building in his chest. He have to go on the offensive. He thinks and lunges forward, but she's already retreating, slipping out of reach before his blade can connect. Frustrated, he realizes the timing was off. The tip didn't even graze her. Her current weapon, a dagger, is smaller and faster, far trickier to counter than the heavy sword she used before. She darts in again, dagger aimed straight at him. But this time, something clicks inside him. With renewed resolve, he tells himself he can handle it now. As the dagger speeds toward his face, he crouches low, raising his sword to brace for the hit. Without hesitation, he accepts the risk. If she attacks from above, he won't get blown away. The impact comes fast, he absorbs it, then shoves forward, throwing her off balance. His sword brushes close to her head, just enough to land a clean cut on her arm before the force knocks him back as well. Both are blasted apart by the power of the clash. Breathless, he quickly asks if she's all right. She grins and scoffs, calling out his name, saying it's nothing, just a scratch. The cut starts healing almost instantly as she reassures him not to worry. He remembers the brutal moment she tore off her own arm and how easily she recovered, a reminder of her strange abilities. With a small smile, she praises him for completing the task. He bows with quiet pride, offering his thanks, and feels a deep sense of accomplishment. The sword, the skills, he can tell he's grown. Choosing to become her student was the right path. Then she adds something unexpected, noting that his fighting style is unusual for a beginner, and wonders aloud if he has combat experience. He pauses, thinking of everything he endured in the dungeon, but simply replies that he has very little. She tilts her head, surprised by the answer, and says he must be naturally gifted. He offers a shy smile, keeping the truth to himself. When it comes to real combat, he's had more than enough, but she doesn't need to know that.
Here I am.